Alright, Uku, you're going down. Come on. No. No! No, 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 no! I probably shouldn't have put money on that. Okay, so in the early days of my channel, I made a video that currently is my most viewed video. For comparison, if I am really lucky, if all of the stars aligned and the algorithm decides to show mercy to me, I will get about 50 views or so. But realistically, most of the time, it usually doesn't go above 5, maybe 10 if I'm lucky. Needless to say, I'm not exactly the most popular guy on the internet. But this one has reached about 7,000, or it's coming up on 7,000 views. I think it's sitting at about 6.8 last time I checked. And I have no idea why this video has done so well. I mean, granted, I know in comparison to an actual YouTuber, that's not much. But for me, that's a pretty big deal. And again, I have no idea why. That video is actually even part of an entire series of videos that tackled a similar theme. So, why that video did so well, and none of the other videos in that theme or that series did well at all, I don't even think any of them have hit 20 views. I'm not sure. The video in question specifically explains why you cannot pause an online video game. It's part of a series of videos I made to help gamers explain things to people who aren't gamers. Now, I know that a lot of people who watch this and are currently gamers think, well, that's obvious why you can't pause an online video game. And granted, to gamers like you and me, yeah, it seems really, really obvious. But to people who do not play video games, it's not really that obvious. This problem happens a lot when people get even decently good at things. Mainly because there are certain things that just seem obvious to us. Like, for instance, take boxing. There are a lot of good boxers who are really, really, really good at punching. Like, they are really good. But they're terrible at teaching somebody how to punch. And the reason is that there's a lot that goes into a punch, but by that point in their career, they're not thinking about anything that goes into the punch. They just punch. So all of the intricacies that go into the punch, twisting your hips, making sure you pivot on your foot, rolling your shoulder, stuff like that, they completely forget to tell people because everything's instinctual. And they almost expect the other person to, not expect, but they don't even think that the other person wouldn't already know these things. And again, this happens in just about every field, gaming included. So even though the video seems kind of obvious to a lot of people at first, a lot of people seem to like it because it covered the things that a lot of gamers kind of forget that non-gamers don't really know off the bat. And even to this day, I still get a lot of comments, well, not a lot, but every now and again, I'll get comments on this video. So people are still regularly watching it now. Again, not sure why I did so popular in comparison to other videos, but that's the case. Now, the reason I gave you that whole spiel is because I see certain comments with a reoccurring theme. Now, I'm sure that a lot of these comments are joking or half joking, and that's fine. But in addition to the theme of, oh, this video is great and explains things really well to people who don't play video games, all of which I love, the other theme that I see occasionally reoccurring are things like, oh, my mom's still annoyed at me, my mom still doesn't want to listen, my dad still doesn't want to understand, stuff to that effect. And I have no idea whatsoever what situation that the child was in that made them think, oh, let me show them this to my parent. I have no idea what the relationship is between this random child and this random parent. I have none of that. The only thing I have are these random comments from random people on the internet. With that said, one situation tends to come to mind. That situation being child and parent are relatively annoyed at each other over this topic. Child finds my video and brings it to still annoyed parent and tries to use it to explain why they can't pause an online video game. So The whole point of this, I know it's a very, very long introduction. I'm really sorry. Please stay if you haven't already left. I'm getting to a point here. The point of this video is to kind of supplement that video in how to explain these kinds of things. And not even just why you cannot pause an online game, but just things in general to people in general. So the first thing you have to understand is that there's a book, it's called Just Listen. I'll leave it in a link below if you're interested. I read the whole thing. I think it's a really good book. But in the book, it suggests the idea that if people feel like they need to be put into a defensive position, it does not really matter a whole lot what it is you're trying to explain or get through to them. If they're put in a position where they feel a little bit like they need to defend themselves, whether they do or don't, they're probably not going to want to pay a whole lot of attention to you. So, whether or not you decide to show the video to your parent, obviously it'd be great if you did, because I like my videos being shared for obvious reasons, but regardless as to whether you wanted to show that video or not, you need to make sure that when you explain it to your parent or to anybody, that you establish, and I know I'm going to start to sound like a psychological mumble-jumble hokum person, but just stick with me here. You kind of need to establish an atmosphere where you guys both equally have respect for each other. And what I mean by that is that when you go and explain it to your mom or your dad or whoever, you need to make sure you approach them like you were just trying to have a conversation with them. You can't really come up and say, hey, this is why you're wrong. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if that doesn't work, one thing that does I might suggest you do, is if you guys have maybe a family friend who you really like and does listen to you, show them the video, or even don't. Either way, doesn't matter. But explain to them the situation, and then have them explain it to your parents, because then you have a mutual party, a neutral party between the two of you explaining it, as opposed to one person explaining it to the other person. For whatever reason, I personally find that having a mutual third party has a tendency to help in communications. Now, the other thing, when it comes to this very specific thing, the simplest thing you can do, honestly, if you can, have them play with you. Because think about it. Why is it that this kind of thing is super obvious to you? Why is it that it's so obvious why you cannot pause an online video game? It's not necessarily because you're smarter than people who don't play video games. You might be, but that's not really the reason. There are plenty of not smart people who play video games that know why. The reason is because you played the video game. You know firsthand how it works. You know firsthand what you can and cannot do in the video game because you spent time playing it. Just see if you can get your parent to play the video game, even if it's only for a couple hours in total. They just need to play it enough so that they understand fundamentally how it works. And then, not only will they understand why you cannot pause the online video game, but they can better make it so that you guys work together a little easier. So like, for instance, say that you were in an Overwatch match. If they've played a decent amount of Overwatch, they'll know roughly how long the rounds tend to last. So they know how patient they have to be before they can get your attention, and they can coordinate themselves better with you, and vice versa. So if you can, a great idea might be just to encourage your parent to try to play the video game. And granted, it might be hard because not all parents like to play video games, understandably so. But in that case, try to explain it to them like you want them to try playing this video game for the sole purpose of creating a better connection between you two. Because look, I'm going to go ahead and say, generally speaking, the majority of parents care about their children. Unfortunately, not all, which that's very, very bad, but the majority do care about their children. And as such, the majority of the parents who care about their children also probably want to understand their children as much as they can physically, emotionally, and mentally. So if they understand that this could help you, obviously I'm not a psychologist, but they could help you create a better connection, then they might be a little bit more willing to do it. Also, try to make sure you tell them that it doesn't have to be for a long period of time. It doesn't have to be for a crazy amount, them trying to figure stuff out. They just need to play it for a significant amount of time, long enough that they understand the basic mechanics and how the game works. Now, I should probably explain that you also have to fulfill your responsibilities. So, if like the reason that they're coming up to you in the middle of the game that you cannot pause is because of something else that you were responsible for doing, that's not really a problem of they don't understand the video game. That's more of you need to fulfill your responsibilities. So for instance, just as an example, if you committed to taking out the trash, let's say, prior to starting the video game, and you know you have to take out the trash prior to starting the video game, and you have the ability and time to take out the trash prior to starting the video game, then it is your responsibility to take out the trash before you start the video game. And if your parent comes up to you in the middle of the video game, seeing that you had not taken out the trash as you have already committed to do, and they demand that you stop playing the game so that you take out the trash, that doesn't have a whole lot to do with the pausing of the video game. That has more to do with the fact that you didn't take out the trash. So understand that when it comes to those kinds of things, you are still responsible. No matter what age you are, you're going to be responsible for something. And at this point, if you're responsible for doing it and you don't fulfill your responsibilities, that's not a video game problem. I can't really help you there. So understand that sometimes happens. Now, the other thing I want to make very, very, very clear. This video, as much as I try to make it one size fits all, it's not going to be one size fits all. It's not possible. It's just not. Everybody is in a very, very different situation, and everybody has very, very unique relationships with their parents. Even if you have two families, and they both have a good relationship within each other, right? They're still going to have a very, very different relationship. So even though they're both great and they're both healthy, it's going to be very different. And that happens throughout all of the families. So obviously, I can't make a video accommodating everybody's kind of relationship. Even if I had a chance to sit down and psychoanalyze every member of the family and study how they interact with each other, I still probably couldn't come up with a whole lot because I'm not a professional psychologist, and even if I was, it'd still be very, very hard because family psychology is a very, 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 very complicated topic. So I just want you to understand that. This is not a do what I say and all will be better. This is more of a hopefully this video can help you out type deal. And that's what I generally try to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed the... Oh, what? Yes, Uku, I will give you your money. Remind me never to challenge her to Nicktoons Brawl again. That was a mistake. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a comment down below, whether it's suggestions for future videos or you just want to tell me how great of a job I did. Certainly don't mind that. Otherwise, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell button. I post every other week. And until next time, hear nothing and listen to all. Bye guys.